Hi, this is Jacob Winston Foster. This is my channel for my books. This is a new channel. I'm trying to introduce my books on a level where I could speak to you one on one. Maybe you could ask me a few questions about my books. I'm an author. Got one in English in CXC. And I went to England. So you could imagine, right? Everybody makes mistakes, but I try not to. So let's talk about my book, The Night of the Vampires. Intriguing, huh? When you're going through stress and drama in your life, thoughts and manifestations in your mind. You could put it on a piece of paper, and that's not difficult for me. I was thinking about my situation, and the first thought I had about the personal persons involved was, you guys are vampires. They suck my blood. So I said to myself, okay, I, I trying my best not to stay away from bad things. I trying my best not to sin, and I trying my best not to sicken people. So I said, all right, I can't have gore. What I can do is write a nice book where everybody could read it, laugh, a little bit scary. So I took some time and I wrote The Night of the Vampires by Jacob Winston Foster. This is not a run around or a fling off to the one back in the day. That's one back in the madness to be honest. No disrespect to the directors or anything. I was just sleeping. So I said, all right, make it the opposite of that. All right. So I wrote The Night of the Vampires by Jacob Winston Foster. It started out with Joe and Jane in Africa. And when they were in Africa, they had a mystical experience, and that was on a tree. Mystical. It wasn't sex. It were nasty people and nasty bad minders coming to play. Nasty people. But my book was more about comedy. So it turned out that it was just the only tree, and Jane's wife turned out Joe's wife turned out to be a vampire and gave him this special power as a vampire. Now he was a tribesman and he was trying his best to provide provide for Jane and provide for the tribe and everything. But that was during the time of slavery. And back then they didn't know much about slavery. And they simply thought that, friends were coming and they could hang out and do business or whatever trade part, and it turned out to be slavery. Now he could have fight off the slaves himself. He was a vampire, but he just conformed to whoever was the chief at the time. Now Jane and Joe were transported to Australia. Mm. Now when Joe and Jane were transported to Australia, now they met the general of the army in Australia that found it amazing the way how Joe, attired himself, carried about himself. The way how he looked indigenous to the area also. So he was hired straight away, but he was adopted. There's a lot of drama. But the one thing that Joe never did forgive the general of the Australian army for was for the murder of his people. Because to actually start slave trade in that area, they had to kill a lot of people. He never did forgive, but he did honor the exact same person till his death. And then when the general died, guess who was the general? Joe was the general. Vampire. Now the backdrop of it is the comedy. The comedy is not something I could describe here. You have to read the book, obviously. So let's talk about werewolves and all of these kind of things. I say to myself, werewolves. Oh my god, werewolves. Yes, I must add something mystical. You can't just stay a vampire on your own. You must have a werewolf somewhere. So I added the backdrop of the werewolves and the werewolves terrorizing people, and how Joe used his military to fight off these werewolves, but in return the military got this mystical powers to the vampires after also. It was a good read, it was a good book. Um Something that you would enjoy. I try my best to say with nastiness, like I seriously try my best not to do those kind of things and not to um have those things published because I want kids to be able to read the book too. Even though it's an adult book, I want a kid to be able to pick up the book, read it too, and say, hey, that was enjoyable. Maybe high school or college could pick up the book and read it and say, hey, that was enjoyable. So I don't need to linger off into sex and nastiness. I don't need to do anything like that. I just have to write what was on my mind at the time. It was a really, really, really good book. To be honest with you, I could make a movie with the book. It was so funny and it's so intriguing and thrilling that I approved myself. I'm satisfied. Now, if I was you, I would and go online on Amazon and buy yourself a copy of The Night of the Vampires by Jacob Winston Foster. You're supposed to be able to tell by a smile that the book was really enjoyable. I'm really proud of the book. So I'm repeating this again. The Night of the Vampires by Jacob Winston Foster. I have other books there. That's more pertaining to the business on a magazine side, like the Security Bible, um, Drugs Top 25, and quite a few other books as well. But those are on the magazine side of things. I'm talking about this one is what you call a novel. It was my first novel, and I'm not talking about a 10-page essay. I'm talking about my first novel. We call it novella because it didn't reach that thickness yet. They reached the thickness. It was a novel. And I'm so proud of the book. Everybody go and pick up a copy of the book. My friend, you assume my friend, my family, go pick up a copy of the book. And that means something. Love everybody who shows support. I love everybody who love my books. Have a good day.